So I'm off to film Jason Harper. Jason Harper's one of my best friends. We both met in South Africa. We met in South Africa doing a story on Richard Branson's property, Ulasaba. He's the writer, I'm the film guy. But he's the travel writer who films and drives the most sexy luxury cars in the world. Check it out.
Brownie or the other?
What up, dude?
Is it gonna? Is there?
That's the key.
That's the key.
That's the key. That's the key.
That's what you get for 300 grand. Well, what's weird is that very quickly you get used to driving these high-end cars.
Yeah.
I remember the first time I got in like a $100,000 car, it's kind of scary, you know?
Yeah.
Oh my God. And then at some point there was a $200,000 car and I was like, dude, that's kind of crazy. And then I think I drove a Rolls Royce that was worth like $450. Huge car in the city, scary to get around. And after that, I was
that was the because that's huge. So, what do you prefer, cars or bikes?
Bicycles are where it's at, man. Watch this.
Whoa! That must get addicting. That yank, that pull. What do you call that?
That's called torque.
Oh, let's see.
It's called torque. What really is what's fun on a fast car is the torque.
Right there?
Yeah, it is. I have to say, I'm afraid to drive without my radar detector.
Oh.
Not that I ever speed, mind you.
How things are going?
I'm a blessed mofo. There's no question about it. I mean, the thing is, I do what I love to do. You know, this is work. I'm testing this car out today, so I'm not sitting at a desk. I'm not sitting at an office. You know, and I do think there's ways to put your life together where you actually get to do the things you love. And I'd say, you know, I'm out testing today. I'm working. And,
yeah.
You know, my wife's like, really? But no, really, this is part of it, you know, and somebody does have to do it. So why not?
Why not you?
You know? So my small story. My name is Jason Harper, and I am a writer. Basically, I'm a travel writer, adventure writer, and I write about cars. So 15 years ago, I moved to New York City to get in the magazine business, started Vanity Fair, and basically it's led me to segueing, basically writing about the stuff I love to do.
You always knew you wanted to write, or just?
I always knew I was going to be a writer. There was never a question. I'm not talented about anything else, so...
You know what capacity? Was it going to be cooking, fashion, cars?
You know, I mean, creative writing is what I first kind of thought I was going to get into, but I always loved magazines, so I knew that I wanted to come to the magazine world. And I ended up working at a men's magazine called Gear, and eventually it just segued into me writing about the stuff I like to do. Okay. And these days I end up writing about luxury travel, adventure travel, and a whole lot of really expensive, stupidly fun cars. I mean, travel is certainly... I really started my very first big trip was when I was 19. I did the whole thing, you know, the European trip. But that was the first time it opened up the vista to me that the world is so varied and so large. And it's also what I like to write about. I mean, travel is joy. Travel is learning. And it is amazing how few Americans get out and travel. To me, it's become a way of life. It's a rhythm. Whether I'm traveling nationally, internationally, you know, I could be in Mongolia, I could be in Miami, but there's that sense of movement, and it does shape sort of how you think about things. I'm not a good person. I don't do well staying stationary. I like to move. One of the reasons I like fast cars.
Yeah. So where are you from, by the way?
We're originally from a little small town in New Mexico, in the Four Corners area, where there really is not much of anything. So, everybody says, oh, I've never met a New Mexican, and there's a good reason, because New Mexicans never leave the state, and there aren't that many of us. So I just recently did this race outside of Detroit. It was $500 clunkers. It's called Lemons, and essentially they're crap cans out on a racetrack. And it's an endurance race. It takes over 2 days. It's 24 hours, and so we were driving an old BMW, but people had like old Volvos that were made up to look like Ghostbusters cars, just shitty cars out racing one another. It was an absolute blast. It was some of the most fun I've ever had. This was our particular car.
Oh my god.
It had a toy deer in the front and a bear in the back.
What's the point? It's an annual fun
Yeah,
event?
it's a stupid race.
It's about functionality of is it technology driven?
Nah, it's just a silly fun race.
silly.
It's just stupid fun.
Even more fun.
Which is well, for one thing, people now say, "Oh, Jason, you're driving these amazing cars, you're traveling the world. Like, how do I do it?" Well, the fact is, I was working at Vanity Fair running off copies for 2 years. It is absolutely a staircase and not an escalator. There are no shortcuts.
I like that. It's just a staircase, not an escalator.
It's a staircase, not an escalator. You think when you see somebody that's sort of fully formed in their career. I'm now 37 and I've done it for 15 years, but I've done a lot of tiers, a lot of days, freelance days, not making any money. Days where I couldn't afford the subway. I was putting dimes in the machine, and it's a long way away from this car. One day I'll never forget. I was staying in San Francisco at a suite in the Fairmont. It was this amazing suite. You could see Alcatraz below you, and I had a Porsche GT2 exotic $200,000 car in the garage, and during the day I was taking the car out, driving at night. I was having friends over, to my suite, and it was just fabulous, very luxe life. And my mom was living in the Central Coast of California at the time, and she said, well, come out, and I said, that's great. So the next day I bought my ticket on Greyhound and went out and visited my mom. And I'm sitting in the Greyhound bus thinking, if I told anybody here yesterday that I was staying in an $800 night suite, driving a $200,000 car, nobody would believe me.
No way.
And I think that is. It's a life. Sometimes journalists and writers are the life of the privileged poor. We get to do amazing things. But you're not a millionaire, but it keeps us grounded. I like the fact that when I turn this car in at the end of the day, I live on a walk-up apartment, 6th-floor walk-up apartment. I love it, but it keeps me grounded.
A great day. Thank you for supporting me at mysmallstory.com. What started as a story about Detroit going from Motown to Growtown has now currently it has us in Aston Martin driving up the Sawmill Parkway. Happy summer to everyone.